So yeah, I've been enjoying all the content Star Wars wise we've got for us, but I've been looking for more Star Wars stuff for kind of the kids side.
Are you into any of the animated series? You know, the Clone
You
Wars.
know, I did watch Clone Wars. I've watched what was the other one after that? Resistance? I think the ones Dave Filoni did. But those are kind of those, adult animated of sorts. And I mean, hell, the Clone Wars, the last back half of that season they finally finished, it's all Order 66, and it's Ahsoka dealing with everything that happened with Anakin and trying to take out what's his horny name?
The horny name.
The horny guy.
Oh, Darth Maul.
Darth Maul. Yeah,
Asshead.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
So
the
it's all
horny.
like, and he's creepy.
You mean asshead?
Yeah, there you
Oh
go.
no, come on.
Sorry.
I mean, maybe if it's hemorrhoids, that'd be acid. But I mean, come on. I'm saying,
but anyway,
horny
it's
guy.
been fun like trying to watch like Star Trek Prodigy is like perfect for, that like elementary school age. It's just enough to kind of push it, but it's not too young. So like that's perfect. Marvel has all like the Spidey and his Amazing Friends or some like the kid oriented ones, but I feel like Star Wars has given us kind of the adult comics, the adult animated stuff, but haven't really leaned too heavily, and considering it's a Disney property, into that kid demographic.
That's ironic.
I know.
Yeah, being Disney, that is funny.
Yeah.
Hey, welcome to Binge Theory, the coolest corner on the internet. I am Julian. We have Logan.
Hello.
And we have Ramon.
I didn't know we were live, so just bleep that first word I said.
Oh no, it's okay. This is a cold open. We are being what they call authentic.
Yes. Our show isn't for kids, so it's fine.
No. This has been Theory After Dark. And
well, I don't know if it's that far.
I feel better then.
Sign up for our OnlyFans. It's quite the show. Anyway, welcome. We're going to be doing a review of Book of Boba Fett. Hang in there. We'll be right back. Hey, so the Book of Boba Fett, Season 1, Disney Plus. I think we have thoughts. Logan, we'll just start off with you. What was your? Well, we can start, macro and then go micro. But
sure.
What's your general thoughts of the Book of Boba Fett as a whole?
Generally speaking, the Book of Boba Fett I was disappointed with. However, the covert Mandalorian season 2.5, I'm very excited about, and I thought did really well. Episodes, what was that? Five and six. 7. Yeah, 5, 6, and 7 to an extent. So covert Mandalorian season 2.5 was fabulous, but Book of Boba Fett didn't hit. It was too inconsistent. It was too. I can appreciate the limitations they may have had to work with, considering when this was shot and when this was done, and how they had to do it. But really, no amount of COVID limitations makes up for. And I feel bad saying it, knowing that this is not just anybody who did this. This is written by Jon Favreau pretty much entirely, except for one that was co-written with Dave Filoni. But this was not his best work by any stretch.
If you can't do it right, just don't do it.
I get trying to stretch things. Like if you're trying to fit something, maybe you had, a couple guest star episodes and they're like, hey, we can turn this into a, 2-person, 1-person show, and all the actors and the extras can be, in masks under their Tusken Raider bandages. Like, if they're that far in COVID, time, which I'm pretty sure is when this was shot, back in kind of the beginning of things, then yeah, that's pretty smart to be able to actually still shoot stuff in that way. But generally, Tamura Morrison should have had more to work with. I don't blame his portrayal or his acting work, but I think he didn't have the consistent vision and the consistent, understanding and backstory and writing to work with to give the performance that he could have given.
Agree 100%. And I got a dovetail onto that. Ramon, what are your thoughts on the season 1 of the Book of Boba Fett?
I mean, I liked it. I mean, I can understand the inconsistencies. I mean, you've heard my gripe about how he was thinner going into the Sarlacc as he was coming out.
Yeah.
But what do you call it?
Inflammation.
Yeah.
retaining fluids.
Yes.
Yeah, pretty much retaining digestive fluids. Anyway, so the whole backstory with the Tusken Raiders. I mean, I think that was okay. I mean, it pretty much shows how his character evolves from just like this ruthless bounty hunter to someone who has somewhat of a conscience. But yes, I do love the Mandalorians sneaking in the Mandalorian at the end. Although I'm not too sure that was a good idea, because there's people who are pure Mandalorian fans that don't even watch Boba Fett, and then come season 2, they're gonna go like, oh wait, there's a whole chunk of story missing. When did Grogu and Mando reunite? And so I mean, it's like the whole thing with like the whole thing with Daredevil and the Defenders. You watch a whole season 1 of the Daredevils.
That's a good point. Yeah, I didn't watch Defenders. What's it? Yeah, the Defenders. Is that what it's called?
Defenders?
No,
Yeah, but
fabulous.
the problem is the third season of Daredevil goes comes
Picks up right up to the end of that. Yeah.
at the end of that. So there was like a whole chunk of story. I had to go back and watch the Defenders. I was just watching. I just wanted to watch pure Daredevil. So this is kind of something similar. I mean, they snuck the whole thing with Grogu and Mando at the end, and then then when the season of then the second season of Mandalorian comes in, they're gonna be scratching their head, going like, did I miss something?
That's a good point. That is a good point. I'll tell you, I'll give you my high level view, and then I also have some scenes from the entire season that will trigger some discussion, I'm sure. I'm with you both. I thought it was kind of a bait and switch that they threw Mandalorian in there. Honestly, it was the only redeeming factor I thought of this season. It's a shame, because growing up where Boba Fett, OG Boba Fett, was probably next to Han the coolest character in Star Wars. And one of the reasons why is there's a show that I'm a fan of called Letterkenny, and the main character of Letterkenny, his name is Wayne. He has this expression: "No mystique, big mistake," and that's exactly what happened. As soon as, don't get me wrong, again, Tamura Morrison, love him to death. If you get a chance, go check out Once We Were Warriors, one of the best Maori films ever made. But he's walking around with his Boba Fett helmet off like it's a hat, and it just takes away all the mystique. So it's not Boba Fett anymore. It's this guy who dresses up as Boba Fett, and that's fine. But you're not going to have the same. It'd be like if Batman didn't put on his cowl, but he was out there fighting crime just as some guy. You're just like, okay, yeah, but it takes away from the iconography. It's I want to get into just the bad decisions they made in story writing, and the lack of character development, and the underwhelming Vespa gang that they had. But I got all that stuff. So yeah. There's a lot of cringe stuff and stuff that just didn't make any sense and stuff that made me want to punch Luke Skywalker in the face. Let's get to all that. I'm gonna start showing some of these wonderful scenes that we have. First off, this is beginning of episode 1 where you have him in the what do they call it? Yeah, the Baptist tank, and he's getting all the slime and the scar tissue healed up, and it's I mean, don't get me wrong, I like the fact that they have this technology, but it is kind of a do-over. No matter what happens to you, you can just kind of heal it up. And while he's in there, he's having a flashback. You can't really see this because he's in the Sarlacc pit, and then he does his light because his helmet has a light, and you see a dead stormtrooper in there. I think that's the same stormtrooper that fell in during the altercation on Jabba's party barge.
Yep.
And what's interesting is apparently stormtroopers have oxygen, like an oxygen tube. I wasn't aware of that.
I wasn't aware of that too until he cut it.
Yeah, exactly. So it's interesting they have it, but he didn't have it. So there you go. And big props to Patton Oswalt, who described this very scene in vivid detail. Anybody watches Park and Rec, that Patton Oswalt, in a filibuster rant, just described the entire scene in which Boba Fett climbs out of the Sarlacc pit. And oddly enough, he also was talking about how Star Wars and the Marvel Universe would be in the same, house. It's just, art imitating art, I guess. So yes. And also I do have a problem because I don't remember Boba Fett wearing like this white outfit, but maybe the body on the stomach.
It was bleached in the stomach acid.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean,
so he's
I'm not going to hold costume continuity from episode 7 or whatever that was.
Yeah.
Yeah, 6. Yes,
6. Sorry,
yeah.
6.
No. Oh, no. Well, episode or yeah, you're right.
6. Yeah. Sorry.
Return of the Jedi. Yeah.
Yes.
So that's him, and then he climbs out, and he, again because his jetpack doesn't work. Apparently, I don't know. Yeah. I mean, it worked to get him in there, but it doesn't work to get him out. Yada yada yada. And he is immediately enslaved by the Sand People. Now, I will say this. I liked where they were going with the Sand People. It was interesting. It always falls into that trope, though. Logan, Dances with Wolves.
Oh, totally.
Yeah. What'd you think, Armand? Did you like the?
Well, for me, it was Dances with Wolves, but even before that, there was a movie called A Man Called Horse, with Richard Harris. That basically he was also enslaved by a Native American tribe. I'm not sure which nation. Tortured and stuff like that, but eventually he kind of gained their what do you call this? Their respect. And eventually they led him, and Richard Harris led them into a so there was another Native American nation that was going to war against them, and he basically led them against the other party, but using what do you call this? The stuff that he learned from the infantry, but with bow and arrows instead of guns. And
I think it's always. I mean, you're right. It's a trope, though. You get with the native, the quote unquote natives, and then you attack the civvies, I guess. What would you call them? The future people.
Navis.
Yes. It's again, but I did like it. I liked the fact that they were giving Sand People, Tusken Raiders. I think Sand People's, PC, not PC anymore, but yes, the Tusken Raiders, some culture.
Yeah, I mean, it was interesting, and I think this also builds off of the episode from Mos Espa or Freetown or whatever they're calling it now from The Mandalorian, where they work together with the Tusken Raiders to defeat the dragon. This continues to add more to them. If anything, I feel like this culture, this race has been the ones that's actually been explored kind of the most of any other, besides perhaps Mandalorian themselves, throughout all of this, and that's been kind of fun. In some ways, they're becoming more well known than just the unknown savage native kind of a trope.
Mhm.
So that I liked. I liked their mastery of the desert, and going a little bit into the mythology of used to be oceans, and they controlled that, and they had to literally pivot their entire civilization from water to sand.
Mhm.
Some of that stuff was kind of neat. It was far too long and far too slow. But again, if this was all they could shoot, and literally every actor under those, costumes have a mask on, and,
In
only,
'95.
yeah, an N95 or whatever there, and that's how they're able to shoot in the time they were in, okay. I can give it a pass for that because we still got this. I appreciate that we got this.
And that is a funny art in it imitating life. If your primary characters are all wearing masks, you can shoot
Well,
essentially.
think about it. A lot of these are, either everybody in masks or just, Boba and Fennec, or, everybody kind of paired off except for the last episode.
Mm.
You know,
No,
Arguably, other than that, most of this was, one or two people here or there. It was a very, I don't want to say obvious, but COVID influenced appearing shoot.
very true. Very true. Now let me go to the next one here. Now, when after they kidnapped him, they had him tied up on the sand, and I remember he was trying to get away. The dogs, those reptile dogs they had, are pretty cool.
Hmm.
Yeah.
And this is a flashback because he wakes up naked in a tube of goo like Neo. I did have an issue. This is nitpicking, but it's an issue. That is not how you breathe in a baptist tank. You have your nose plugged
Mhm.
so you don't inhale the fluid. You see that when Luke was in
Yes.
Empire Strikes Back, you
Mhm.
plug your nose. You don't just have a respirator in your mouth. You would drown. It's I know it's a Disney show of a science fiction bounty hunter, but come on, it's physics. You're not just
Yeah.
you're not going to sleep just breathing through your mouth, unless maybe he has some sort of a deviated septum. I don't know, but okay. So after that, he is now what's it called, you guys? The title he has,
He is now the what he calls. He is now the daimyo.
daimyo.
Yeah.
Thank you. Yes, he is the daimyo, and as a daimyo, people pay tribute. So this guy, I love this actor because he was in Veep, and I don't know if
Oh,
anybody
wow.
here watches Veep.
I know of it, but have not seen it.
Well, he plays kind of a smarmy character in Veep too, which is hilarious because he's basically a groveling yes man to whoever's in power. But no, he's with the that one syndicate. Um, I forget the name of the syndicate, but yeah, he's basically no, who's he the spokesman for?
The mayor.
The
Mayor.
mayor, that's
The
right, the
mayor.
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 And the mayor's in with the syndicates. That's
Right.
what it is. Okay, so we got him and he's groveling, but he's not bringing tribute. Matter of fact, he's asking Boba Fett for tribute. And that's not going to go. And let's talk about this. I understand Boba Fett is now into the whole team building thing.
Mm.
Sure, that works. But he's like 50 years old and he's been savage for all of his life. He is the unaltered DNA of Jango Fett. So he's a killer. And his let me just say his tolerance for BS is way beyond what I would expect for anybody. What you're going to say something, Logan?
Um, I think while I won't obviously the unaltered DNA of Jango Fett, I would have to argue probably there, and I think they did a poor job of showing or conveying this first, but that time alters everyone, regardless of where you come from or what you've done or who you are. And I think that's what they missed. If it were me, we're going to go back. I'm sure running this now. I'm going to literally have a board for each episode, and it's going to be, where does OG Fett need to show up? And where does, old Fett need to be? Because you've got the OG, who, you're right, has been that lone wolf, that assassin, that killer, that killer instinct, that what we saw him do on the episode of The Mandalorian. A single-handed, one-man, utter wrecking machine. But that takes energy. That takes aggression. That takes, passion and fire that is not going to be as easily roused when you're 60 as when you are when you're 20. So you need to make that clear delineation between what gets him to that boiling point, and where is, okay, he understands he's older, he feels he's broken, he was shown this whole kind of chosen family that he didn't ever have before, and realized that, that could be a nicer way to kind of end out his days. And I can appreciate that's what he thought he was trying to build when he took over Jabba's, palace and title and everything. But there was just such a poor showing of that, and detail and understanding that that's kind of where he's going. In some ways they had the ability to kind of make up for what they did to, or what I think some people would say they did to Luke in episode 8. They didn't explain that one little flashback of him and Kylo was not enough to understand why this wasn't the confident, assured savior of the galaxy. They didn't show that was a kid who, by the seat of his pants, saved the world, and then could never live up to that for the rest of his life.
You're right. And I think how they could have played it was play script doctor. How I love to do that. I would have leaned into the Unforgiven type thing.
Okay.
Where and like you're saying, the legend, you're McMoney out of Missouri, killed women and children. That's Boba Fett. You're Boba Fett. And you're right, if he has aged, but again, there hasn't been that much of a time jump between Return of the Jedi and now. I mean, Luke's still the same age. So this is like immediately after. He was not with those Sand people for way, way longer. So
that's fair.
Yeah, I mean, and again, don't get me wrong. But to your point, I wish they would have communicated, or via some good storytelling tactics, shown that something happened to change him from the out for self, bloodthirsty, ruthless bounty hunter to this pragmatist. And
yes,
they never do that. They just, all of a sudden he shows up.
And not only do they never do that, when you think they've gotten there, and we'll get to this, I'm sure, they undermine it at the end, which to me was even worse. So yeah, it's totally frustrating. And you're right, he's not that old, but at the same time, he is that old. So
no, he's that old, but I'm just saying
you're right. In canon, he shouldn't be that old quite yet.
And I'm just, if we're looking at the Star Wars timeline, he was, I mean, unless there's like, I don't know what the time gap was between Empire Strikes Back and Return of the Jedi. Not our years, but between Luke, being it was the first time
established somewhere.
Yeah, I'm sure.
Well, Luke was not born yet in Revenge of the Sith. So let's say that, and Boba Fett was how many years at that time? Maybe
he's like probably eight or nine.
Logan's right. I mean, an 8-year gap. This was more than just an 8-year gap between AI Luke and
AI. Yeah, we got to get to that. That's very true. No, that, yeah,
This-
but I'm.
that was
But
one of the things that bothered me also as well.
Mhm.
I mean, I was trying to do the math when I saw him and I saw his, what his age was, and that at the beginning, and then knowing that this just happened right after he got out of the Sarlacc, I was going like, this doesn't make sense.
Sorry, there's 30 years between Return of the Jedi, or no, Empire and Force Awakens. Yeah, because Return is set in year 4 ABY, whatever that means, and Force Awakens is 34. So there's 30 years between the two.
Wait a second. Is that what we're looking for the timeline? I thought.
No,
we were looking
I think it's looking for the timeline between Empire
Clone
Strikes.
Wars. Isn't it Clone Wars?
Clone Wars is episode. Are you saying episode 2, or are you saying the animated series?
Oh no, between episode 2 and well, okay, he was 8 years old in episode 2. It will say that. When they were on the clone ship out at sea, right?
Yeah.
Right.
Okay. Yeah, that's right. Clone. Yeah.
Yeah, and then how long was it between? Logan, do your Star Wars math.
26 years from Clone War, roughly from Clone Wars to Jedi.
Oh, so yeah, no, he was just like 30 something in Jedi.
Yeah, he should be in his 30s through.
So that means at the oldest, he's like late 30s in this Book of Boba Fett, which he is not.
No, he is not.
No.
I'll say this though, and this is again, if I'm going to play script doctor, this is what I would do. I would pull a Justice League move where you see Bruce Wayne beat up and just it's the mileage to pull a Harrison Ford line. It's not the years, it's the mileage. And if he were, and I know he's all scarred up from the Sarlacc pit, I get that.
But still, you just have him come out of the tank and somebody say, even the tank can't heal what you've been through.
Yeah.
Boom, done. End of story.
And or him just, or like maybe he's talking to Fennec, and he's like, I'm going to need you to watch my back because, I'm not firing on all cylinders, something like that. But acknowledge that he's not as dangerous as he used to be. And that would have been a whole nother story. Again, to me, that's Logan, not you, Logan, the movie.
No,
Logan.
Wolverine, Logan, yeah.
Yeah. And that's one of the most empowering things of a script is when you have somebody who goes through a transformation, who has that, journey of used to be dangerous and is now vulnerable. That would have been a story.
And you've got it in Logan with Logan and Xavier.
Oh, yeah.
And you've got Logan as the main character doing it, and they're just showing you Xavier going through the same thing without even, I mean, that's a double whammy there.
I'll tell you what, that the entire premise, not to go way off the rails here, but the entire premise of
all
Logan,
in the same universe.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, especially you got Captain Picard, but that entire premise of Wolverine, an indestructible force of nature, and even the guy said, Xavier, the most powerful mind in the world, and the two things that gave them agency were stripped away from them.
Yep.
Xavier no longer had his mental prowess.
Well, not just that. Xavier actually, his mental prowess is actually now sort of acting like
it's a liability.
It's a liability.
Yeah. No. Yeah. You're right. It's not only that he was like diminished. He was dangerous because he couldn't control it through his seizures. And Logan, the man that could shrug off bullets, could not even really extend his claws anymore. It was, and just seeing that deterioration grounded them in a way that I never, especially from the X-Men that you've grown up with and grown up watching, seeing it hit that level, that hits you. And if they would have given that sort of humanity to Boba Fett, this could have been like the show. Hey, Kenny's online.
I mean, I think I don't know, maybe they were just scared of everything that happened with Luke and that they didn't know how to do it right yet.
Yep.
I can appreciate that.
Do you think it's possible that Favreau and Filoni saved all the good character development from Mandalorian, and they weren't really expecting to do a Boba Fett, and they just kind of threw it together. And you're right, during the time period, that also had an impact. But
I mean, I do kind of think that it's odd to kind of throw this series in between 2 and 3 of an establishment series that's been doing, just shock and awe amazing. It's what, 91%, I think, fresh for critics and 93 audience or something like that. Like, The Mandalorian is single-handedly, it. So to switch gears so quickly and okay, pull a fan favorite, do this, do Obi-Wan, do whatever, but to throw it in between and then to throw in 2 or 3 episodes where arguably you don't know who the main character is in the shows, it seems like other forces were at play.
Now I know that all of this has been produced before it obviously made it onto Disney. They weren't producing it while we were watching it each week.
No, they weren't.
But what do you think? Somebody was watching the dailies and was like, "Ooh, no, you better throw in the Mandalorian."
Well, filming of season 2 for Mandalorian wrapped March 8th, roughly 2020, in March of 2020. And that's when everything, started the first time around. So you're trying to shoot everything in all late 2020. And then, up in beginning of 2021. I mean, production wrapped in June of 2021. I mean, when did we get the vaccine even? Was that 2021?
It was right before the election. That's all I know.
It's right before, yeah.
Kenny says the only person that's missing from this conversation is Tony Todd.
Yeah.
Yes.
So, I mean, all of this is happening right in the high points, and because we just got boosters back in the fall. So, yeah, we probably had first shots then in April. So all of this was going on before vaccines during COVID.
Yeah.
Theoretically, production wrapped a month or 2 after people could have gotten their first ones. So this was all in hardcore COVID time.
I get that, but you know what I'm saying in regards to making that hard left turn and making this a Mandalorian movie, a Mandalorian series with Boba Fett kind of in the background in his own show. Like that had to have been a conscious decision because that was...
It did. It totally had to be. And honestly, look, we saw the first 4 episodes.
Oh, I barely made it. If they didn't hit that, if 5 did not have the Mandalorian in it, I would never have finished it. We wouldn't be doing this show because it was unremarkable.
I don't think we were that off normal. I mean, 4 wasn't as bad as it could have been, but it still wasn't worth it. But yeah, I mean, you hit Return of the Mandalorian, which could easily be the first episode of season 3. Let alone shoehorned in here, and helmed by Bryce Dallas Howard, who has knocked it out of the park on all her other Mandalorian episodes. And then you've got 6, which brings back Cobb Vanth and Ahsoka and R2 and Luke, for better or for worse, and Grogu. And then it ends on Cad Bane of all things. Like, these were definitely things I think that were going to be saved for Mandalorian, but the higher ups had to have seen the same 4 episodes we saw and been like, we just need to do something. Yeah. There needs to be something else here. There needs to be more. We need to risk it. We need to make it happen. Maybe even some of those scenes and stuff started to be shot before, there were leftovers from season 2 that weren't used or something. Some of them.
Baby Yoda. They said, bring back the toys.
Let
me go back into scene mode here. Okay, so the daimyo is going around getting his extortion money, and is it extortion or is it what is it?
No, protection.
Protection. Oh yes, protection. And then because he's walking around without, he has some Gomerian guards, right? But they're not really doing a heck of a lot, and he gets jumped.
They're the muscle, not the brain.
Yeah, he gets jumped, and again, most dangerous man in the galaxy gets jumped by some, uh, some low-level villains, yada yada yada, and he gets out of it, but he flashes back, and again, and this is what was hilarious. I saw this, he has a flashback, and this is how he starts to gain the trust of the Tuscans, where he and the young one, and I guess his fellow slave, were attacked by this wonderful thing ripped directly from Jason and the Argonauts.
Stop motion and all.
Oh yeah, and so he choked it out with its chain, and then they said, okay, you're one of us, and he says, hey, and then it flashbacks to the current time where he goes to now this is the mayor, right?
Yeah.
He goes to the mayor and say, hey, I got jumped, what's up with that? And he goes, I don't know, nobody respects you. I mean, because you keep taking your helmet off. And then the Hutts fall, the brother sister Hutts, and I don't know what form of transportation they're used to, but having people just literally walk you around everywhere, that can't be too productive. I mean, explain that to me, you guys.
There's got to be a droid for that.
There's got to be droid for that. Yeah. Or, I mean, it's just, I mean, it does remind me of what they had in 300. Remember in 300 where the God King was walked up, but still, it's not practical. I'll just say that, not practical at all. Let's see. Okay. Okay. You talk about a complete waste of a character. We got Danny Trejo.
I was actually expecting him to be in the final battle scene as well.
I was expecting him to do anything other than 2 minutes of dialogue.
I think he was just a writer on Robert Rodriguez's contract. That's what I think he was.
You know what? You're right. I forgot Rodriguez was in. Yeah, so he's just, hey, throw in Machete. And and why? I mean,
that's the only reason.
He's a good actor. I mean, you could have put him in, made him a fighter or something. That not a. And again,
could you imagine seeing him and Chrysanthemum stand off at the end and be like, "You remember our fight? We'll finish this after we save everybody," kind of a thing. Like, I mean, that would have been awesome.
Exactly. Kenny says Trejo's a writer on everybody's contract. Yeah, but that was disappointing, and also how he said. When I take the blinders off, the first person that sees it imprints on. Sure, I mean, whatever. That's not a thing, but okay.
Animal husbandry 101.
Yeah, but so that thing's been in a blindfold its entire life, or kept away from people. That's a little cruel. Anyway, he goes. Boba Fett goes to and I love her, Amy Sedaris. And he's trying, because she's supposed to hook up his Seacrest. She gets him.
No, not Boba Fett, Mando.
Yeah.
Mando.
Mando.
Yeah, forgive me. Right.
Mando ship.
Thank you, Mando. Yeah, Mando instead of the Seacrest goes to get his. She fixes up this instead of the Seacrest.
Razor Crest.
Razor Crest. Wow. See,
the other one's in American
The
Idol.
other one's Ryan. Yeah.
Yes, Ryan Seacrest. Raisin Seacrest. But and again, this was from
this is from episode 1. It's the Naboo fighter.
Yeah, it's a Naboo fighder. Actually, when I saw it, I was
without the yellow and the gold.
Yes, well, it had it, and they like kind of
scratched it off.
Let me ask you this: is this what Anakin was flying?
Yes.
Yes.
Thank you. All right. So this, and that's very.
So basically, there was a deal with Lego to bring about one of their old sets again, so they can kind of brand it as new.
Yeah,
or so I imagine, of course.
But I'll tell you what, this ship slaps, as the kids say, because when he got it and he took off, it was insane.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Actually, honestly, so when I saw what they were replacing the Razor Crest with, I was going no. But they actually did a great job of
They went
making this.
far enough from what the Razor Crest was that it wasn't a problem.
Hmm.
If they
I
tried to
will.
do some other kind of, fighter cargo carrier kind of a thing, it would have always been compared to. But, like Amy Sedaris's character said, you're going from a freighter to a starfighter. Fly it like
Right.
a starfighter. It's different. Starfighter.
I'll say this though. I thought the freighter was a little more practical, seeing as how if he was a bounty hunter, he has
He
to
ain't
have.
taking no bounty back in that thing.
Yeah, I mean, he could squish somebody in that little bubble that the droid housing, but yeah, it didn't, because remember he had carbonite freezers in
Yeah.
Mandalorian.
Yeah.
Well, again,
And the thing about it is, though, where's he going to store all his weapons? That's the other thing.
store anything. I mean, he could barely. Yeah, well, he doesn't have the spear anymore.
He just has
speaking
a
of
dark
which,
saber. That's all he needs.
yeah, that is true. And speaking of which, there was that scene in which he took
Ugh.
he found the armor, the blacksmith, and one of the guys that helped him on the fight
Yes.
in the Mandalorian, and she made a chainmail outfit out of the spear.
Out of the tip of the spear.
What was it?
Let's be honest. He got the raw end of that deal.
Yeah.
Mm.
And
She basically just said, "Oh, this can go through our armor. I'm gonna burn off your tip, and that's all we're gonna give you."
yeah, there you go. And so he made chainmail for a little Yoda. He got him a little outfit, and then he goes to find Yoda, and everybody knows it's because he misses his baby Yoda, but he's trying to be all tough. He goes, "No, I just want to see if he's okay,"
Right, but I think the biggest thing there, though, too, is that, and I was actually, it's funny, you glossed over it just as much as they glossed over it in the show itself, in that he was essentially excommunicated from all of his people that he had grown up with his entire life because he couldn't attest that he had never taken off his helmet. It was, cold shoulder, turn your back, you're no longer one of us, get out. And you glossed over that just now, just as much as they seem to gloss over it in the show. Now, I don't know what I was expecting him to react or how much emotion I was really expecting to see in through the helmet or around the helmet or in his body language or what, but I was more shocked by the lack of significance that scene had on him than the scene itself, and that surprised me, I think, the most of all.
That's an excellent point.
Well,
Yeah.
he still has the helmet. You don't really know
Look, he has his armor, but I mean, think about it. You go home to your family, and then your family says, "Oh, you
They
took
screw
off
you.
your hat. You can never come home again. You're not one of us. Leave. We don't know you. You get nothing." Like
But
that's
I think it's
how
also.
does that not?
I think it's also because it's his religion. He was raised in this religion that
Yeah.
that it's something that it's almost like something that normal to him. What do you call this? I mean, it is
The
devastating, but it's
coldness and the
something.
excommunication is normal to him.
Well, if his religion raised him that way,
Well, I think I could understand this if he knew, and you're right, it was not emphasized enough, and a lot of stuff was not emphasized or given the gravity that it should have.
Not even musically, which I think was
there was
more
no
important for me.
No musical cues whatsoever.
No,
it's all
nothing. It gave me no emotional connection to it. The silence of it was, I don't think, I can't say this is what they were trying to do because I don't think it hit the same, but yeah, no musical cues for it, no nothing. Unless it sets up the entire plot of Mandalorian season 3 is him trying to get to an Empire-controlled Mandalore to go swim in some underground mine water, which, quite frankly, I think is probably a crappy season 3 storyline. But I'm sorry, that had to mean something, and to see nothing and to hear nothing and to feel nothing was disingenuous at best, I think.
Well, I think.
I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Sorry.
No, please.
So during that particular scene, I was going like, well, there's something deeper happening here because the blacksmith I'm not really sure what her name is, but knew that Mando was the one that's gonna be, because he's the one who possesses the dark saber. He's like considered the savior of the savior of what do you call this? The Mandalorian race, and then yet she excommunicates him. I was going like, well, maybe there. It's like maybe in her mind. This is what I thought. In her mind, she knew something, I'm just not picking up with it. Same deal as when you're saying like, um, you know, um, it's like the prophecies, that no matter no matter what I do, it'll always come back to what the prophecy says.
I
So I thought that was the reason why they took it lightly. I may be reading into this too much, but I'm thinking that that regardless of what happens, the prophecy will happen. With as far as the dark saber. I don't know.
I think I get what you're. Oddly enough, I think both of you are hitting on something similar. Logan, I see what you're saying. I mean, this person has lived his entire life based on a certain ideal, and when that is officially stripped away, there's not even a beat. They just keep on rolling.
Like
it would have made some sense for there to be like a pause and for him to stammer or something. Remember, his entire identity has basically just been turned off.
Yeah.
If he could have just questioned it, like, is there another way? Or, I had to, or that's not fair. Any sort of acknowledgement other than, basically it's like you got a speeding ticket. It's like, even if he got a speeding ticket, he'd probably be more emotionally invested. But also,
he was when he was pulled over by the two X-wings for flying too close to the cruiser there, Maverick.
Exactly. There's you don't buzz the
tower.
Don't buzz the transport. And Ramon, I get yours as well, where maybe because I think this is kind of high level view, kind of almost like the Sorcerer Supreme, knowing that Doctor Strange is going to
exactly that was what I was.
It's almost like, but still, I think he should have reacted, or there should have been some cue that this was something that meant something to him, and not just oh yeah, by the way, you're not a Mandalorian anymore. The way doesn't apply to you. And even though if she knew that was not going to be the end result, he should have at least felt the pain of
I think the hesitation on answering the question was, in fact,
no, I get that, but it's almost like he knew what was going to happen, sure, but that doesn't mean it's not going to hurt, and it doesn't mean that he can't try and protest or something. It just, I think story-wise,
equivocate.
Yeah, I think story-wise,
hit something, screen, like there's got to be, I don't know.
Yeah,
especially in a character with his face obscured, there has to be more.
I will say this: a
clenching fist, something.
Yes, that would have been yes, exactly.
Yeah.
If you would have just had a tight up with him, squeezing his fist and then releasing, show that he has that internal something. I guess the short version is, if it means something, show me it means something.
Yes.
That being said, let's just chalk that up as 2 no's and 1 maybe. All right, so now let's jump back in. We have. Oh no, that's the wrong one. Sorry, bad editing. There we go. This is why I wanted to kick this AI Luke Skywalker right in his head. This guy, of course, Mandalorian came up with his little chainmail baby Yoda outfit and gave it to Ahsoka Tano to give to Baby Yoda. And Luke intercepts it like a jealous stepmother and is like, I'm going to give you a choice. You can have this lightsaber from my master that you never met and means nothing to you, or you can have this chainmail from basically your dad. And you can't have both.
Well,
You can't have you can't have both. First of all, that is not his gift to give or barter with. He has no say so in what Baby Yoda owns. What is that?
well, he does if he's
No.
his Jedi teacher, his Jedi master.
Yeah.
Because again, this is the differing theologies at work here. One is you care for your own, you take care of your own, you raise your foundlings as your own. It doesn't matter if they're not your blood, they're yours. They are your kids as real as if you had them yourself.
Mhm.
Whereas the Jedi is give up all attachment, release everything from the past, don't give in to attachment and those kind of relations and stuff like that, and move forward for the good of the light, for the good of all. That was more of a symbolic gesture and understanding, and you know hell, the character in that damn puppet was more than the Mandalorian show. Like, come
So
on, that got it totally right.
yes, and it lip sync was working.
It was so much better.
So Logan, you're basically saying that this
Was Luke being like, yeah,
let me say this. Luke is dressed all in black.
Yep.
And you're telling me that he needs to give in, get rid of all his attachments because that's the Jedi way. This almost seems like a Palpatine in reverse, and like give in to the good side.
Essentially, it is.
I will say this. I'm so glad that he's telling Baby Grogu to not hold on to any attachments while he's palming Yoda's lightsaber. He had that for some reason.
That is a mystery.
I want you to give up all possessions. Here's an heirloom. Yeah. Oh, I say poo. Poo on Luke.
Although I this particular instance aside, and as I think there were still some problems with CGI Luke as there were, I have to say Disney 100% got their money's worth with that YouTube deepfaker that they hired to redo this, because visually he was stunning. He was everything that the last one was missing, and basically he was as good as the feature film Leia, and she was really there acting, just not acting off of the people that were there. They still need to work on emotion, they need to work on intonation, and they need to work on vocal pacing. But like we were talking before, like these actors had better start putting where they want proceeds for their likenesses to go after they're dead in their estate plans, because it needs something that is going to need to be done.
Well, I thought that was it you, Logan, that sent an article that it was not even an actor; it was more like they took algorithms of his. That was you.
That was me. Yeah, Logan. Did you know that was not Mark Hamill acting those scenes out?
No, I know.
Yeah. Now that
they had a stand-in who they deep faked over and AI'd vocal patterns from other shows or other videos, other Luke's previous dialogue in order to create any of the new dialogue. And that's why I was saying they still need to work on on the algorithms in order to show intonation, emotion, and pacing.
Well, it's not just that. It's also I don't know. There's like the whole conversation between like Ahsoka Tano and Luke Skywalker was so awkward. I mean, it's so pause. I mean, there's like awkward pauses and stuff like that.
There was no emotion in Luke when she said, "You remind me of your father." How could Luke not show emotion to that line? Give me a break.
Yeah. No, and I would say here's the irony. There were even awkward pauses when he's talking to Grogu, and Grogu can't even talk. He was literally saying, "You remind me of someone." He talked in riddles. Do you ever know of anybody like that? It was almost like a what do you call it?
A children's
It was almost like one of those.
He was hitting spice.
Yes, there was spice.
I'm gonna get flamed for that, but that's okay.
Yes, and I'm sorry, Yoda did not talk in riddles. He just had, a speech.
Yeah,
He just had
yeah,
a different grammatical structure.
exactly.
It
It
was
was
very
not a
consistent for
yeah.
Yoda.
It was there was
yeah.
no question mark at the end of it. He just spoke, in an odd fashion. There's no need
Yeah,
for
it was his what do you call this? It was his Shakespearean
yes,
training. Yeah,
yeah.
like we do not be too questions that.
There you go. See,
There you go.
that was a
Thank
great
you.
impression, by the way.
I saw Grover, but I'll take Yoda.
Grover was the man. Yes.
Yeah.
It would be cute if little Grogu started talking and he sounded like Elmo. There you go. Just reuse all the
Yes.
Muppets.
Just reuse it totally.
And
Or Kermit the
Tickle me
Frog.
Grogu. Tickle me Grogu. Christmas 2022.
and I think also that's that scene where basically they did it. He recalled the whole incident with the temple.
Yeah.
I don't think that was necessary because if I was if I was like getting to the whole Star Wars thing, I personally know that Yoda species don't grow. They don't age as fast as humans, but someone who doesn't know that would come in, look at that, and go like, "Wait, this from the whole temple scene up to now, he's still a baby."
Well,
I
but
mean,
the bigger thing with that temple scene is that nobody reacted to it. Neither Luke nor Grogu, nor anybody. Like, why was it shown if it's not going to impact any of the characters who are there seeing it? It impacts us. It impacts us significantly because we understand how long it takes him to grow. We understand the implications of Order 66. We understand what he had to live through in order to get to where he's gotten and everything that must have happened. I was actually hopeful that there was, going to be a time where, they actually did go back to, Yodastan or whatever, the home planet of,
Yoda.
making it up. I don't know.
That was pretty good.
And they actually got to see glimpses of that. And then if he's still so traumatized by that, okay, show that. But then we also need to see that either Luke is affected by the darkness of what Grogu can't get over, or Grogu is affected by the fact that he can't really see back to that idyllic time where he grew up, and he's still so traumatized by what happened. Like that was only there for the audience, and the audience knew that already. So the fact that it didn't see the impact of it was a big problem in my book.
Again, there is no reaction to anything because nothing matters in this. It's all just a series of clips. And you're right. I mean, all they had to do was have little Grogu, who's cute as a bug here, look sad.
Have him look sad. Have little sweat beads on his forehead with his eyes closed.
Yes.
I'm sure you could program CG Luke to open his eyes and cock his head.
Exactly.
Even if it was creepy, it would still be an alert that he was feeling what it was that he was experiencing.
Yes. Have the feelings fit the scene. That's
feelings fit the scene.
Oh, jeez. Okay, so like I said, Monty Hall, Luke Skywalker over here, basically offering, trying to make a deal, and Grogu says, "You know what? I didn't sign up for all this. I'm out." And he gets on the lights on the X-wing, and he and R2D2 jet out. Basically, R2D2 Uber Eats him, over to Tatooine.
Uber Eats.
And
funny.
he took an Uber, and he gets dropped off there.
Grubhub.
Because apparently, again, Luke was too busy. He couldn't just fly him there. Because Luke's doing stuff there in the woods, right?
Like, yeah, he lost his only student, so yeah, he's pretty busy.
First of all, and I will say this again, Luke is an awful teacher. Every student he has just tries to get away from this guy.
Luke never had a solid teacher. Luke was never trained as a Jedi.
Yes.
He never went through all of the formal schooling that everybody on Coruscant did at the Jedi Temple.
True. No,
so the fact that he thought he could even do any of this was a delusion of grandeur to start with.
Yes. And you know what? That's funny because I think weren't we talking back in the day that the less people that are pulling from the Force, it kind of gets concentrated like orange juice without enough water. So he has probably this influx of power, and he feels, oh, I must be the one. I'm Neo, right? And but he's still
Look,
just
he's
stupid.
23 and he saves the universe. How are you not completely screwed up expectations from then on in your entire life?
He's like
You can never live up to that again.
He's like a child kid from the 80s. It's all there, and then reality comes crashing in, and he realizes he's just a crop duster and with some special powers.
Oh man, what they could have done with that if they showed it properly in The Last Jedi.
Oh, yeah.
But they just didn't.
Again, the thing that kills me is Mandalorian, and this, I've said this before, if you take a property that's unknown, you can do anything with it.
Yep.
And that, I will say, that's what happened with Avengers. That's what happened with Suicide Squad. That's what happened with just recently Peacemaker. These are not A-list, heroes. So you can just put your own story on them, and you don't have to do all the connective tissue. But I think they got so enamored with, okay, it's Luke Skywalker, it's Boba Fett. Yeah. Let's just write a story, but not an interesting story. Let's just move them through we got to get them to the finish line.
I mean, and that's the problem. And I think Rodriguez was, and I love him to death. I love by far almost everything he's done to date.
Right.
From creating his studios and the way he runs it and involves family and does stuff, all the way to, all the Spy Kids and the We Can Be Heroes and the Once Upon a Time in Mexico's and you name it. Like, he's generally exceptional. And the episode with Boba Fett in The Mandalorian was exceptional. He took 3 minutes, written on the page and turned it into a 9-minute epic. Oh my God, that's Boba Fett. Like, he was phenomenal. But I gotta say, and again, part of it has to be the writing, but he couldn't pull it out in the 3 episodes that he directed. He couldn't, it felt like he could not get past or understand who this Boba Fett was supposed to be. Old Boba, new Boba, some weird Boba, Boba Tea, whatever it was supposed to be, he couldn't solidly grasp it.
And you're 100% right. And again, I'm going to go back to my scriptwriter mode. If you would have had basically, you don't even need to show that there was a moment, because again, he's behind a mask.
Yeah.
So as far as he's been deteriorating all along. And then when he takes off the mask, you see that he's just battle worn and just, it's all a facade.
And look, even if he's 40, his father was killed when he was what, 8?
Yeah.
So he's had to be an assassin and probably learn. Yes. And there was that allusion in the conversation with Cad Bane as well, that he had, sort of taught him or took him under his wing or done other things with him, or there was a past and a history there. So, at 40, yeah, you could definitely show that he's been doing this for 30 years.
Yeah.
It could be done.
Exactly. And they could have just, and again, only because I thought it was the perfect projection of time in the movie Unforgiven. And I mean, you had Clint Eastwood as this young, dangerous man cut 30 years down the line, and you see he's a pig farmer that can't even ride a horse. That is, and again, we like Logan, the most dangerous mutant on the planet with his claws. Now he's driving an Uber and getting beat up by gangsters. It's you need that reversal, but you need to have it shown in a way that makes it look sad and downtrodden. They didn't give us any of that. It was basically, okay, I was with the Sand people for a little bit, and now I want to be a daimyo. And why? First of all, that didn't make any sense to me. Why he wanted to be a daimyo? I mean, he could have killed Jabba at any time. Why is this now? Okay, let's jump to the next scene here.
Yep.
So yes, he gets Mandalorian, and they do a standoff, a la Butch Cassidy and the Sundance Kid.
I was actually hoping that that maybe it's just me. Maybe it's the whole coming together, Avengers coming together
Mhm.
thing that I've just you know been living with the past few years. But I was hoping that Ahsoka would actually be joining the fight as well,
That would have
just
been cool.
because that would have been cool. But and they showed her, and I was actually waiting until I was hoping that the whole thing with the rope, the machines coming in, and all that stuff, that she would be able to come in and
Give him the force squeeze.
yeah,
Now, you
something like
see,
that.
I totally hear you in hoping like it was going to be a whole coming together, but I was hoping for Bo-Katan rather than
Ah,
Ahsoka.
ah,
I was thinking that they might show her, shadow following the Mandalorian, trying
because
to
the
make
saber.
her machinations to get back the dark saber in some way, and that she's following closely and ingratiating herself or biding her time or however you want to put it to do that. So I was wondering if she might pop in.
What did you think about when he got Grogu's chainmail made, and he was talking about the fact that the dark saber is heavier the more you try to wield it, unless you're letting the energy flow through you, almost like some sort of a symbiotic relationship.
I would think that.
I think that I mean I know that's canon, but I think that's interesting. But
Hmm.
here's again, they say it, and then it doesn't mean anything later because he's
Hmm,
just wielding it. It
Well, but he never starts wielding it efficiently and effectively. Think about the way he wielded the spear in order to defeat what's his Giancarlo Esposito
Mhm.
um to get the dark saber.
Gideon, yeah,
Gideon, sorry, Moff Gideon. Um he knows how to wield a weapon, and he wields weapons well.
yeah,
And while there has been no payoff or understanding with that line, he also has not gotten any better, and it is still blatantly obvious he cannot and does not know how to wield that weapon.
yeah.
So I do find that at least consistent, if not still, confusing and probably part of something that'll be tackled in Mandalorian season 3.
yeah, I think so. I mean, there's so much of a history in that. Say, I
Yeah.
mean, it was created by the first Mandalorian Jedi.
Mhm.
Paz Vizsla's ancestor.
Yeah,
Although, and Paz Vizsla, by the way, is John Favreau, so take
Hmm.
that for what it's worth.
Hmm.
But when he beat him in that duel on that walkway, he only beat him because he lost the Darksaber and then was able to get the upper hand just on his skills and then pick it back up at the end.
Yeah.
That is true. Yeah. Well, okay. So they're fighting off the apparently the syndicates are sending all
Mhm.
their baddies to come get him. So they're
Which was
fighting.
also very reminiscent of Mandalorian
Oh,
season 1
it's
finale.
almost
Hmm.
Oh
yeah.
my god.
It was too on the nose. But this was a tender scene when the mechanic zooms into the middle of a fight and he's like, turn around, run away. What? And
Yeah.
then the droids are behind him on his feet, and then he jumps on the thing, and lo and behold, reunited, and it feels so good.
Mm.
Baby Grogu gets back with his daddy because he said, why are you going to leave me with that creepy guy with the burnt hand? I want to be with you, daddy. And there you go. Sweetest moment ever. Um, and this, again, this is how you show emotion.
Yes. You can see emotion in his shoulders, in
Yes.
his arms, in his just everything. Like you can see the emotion in the armored character.
Logan, all he had to do when he was told that his entire life was a lie now, or well, he was already told that, but now that his life is being stripped away,
Yeah.
this is all he had to do.
Yeah. You do the
Just drop your
head,
head. Drop your
or you
head.
do or you drop the shoulders, or there's so many choices.
Any choice, just make a choice.
Just make a choice, please.
Yep,
You
Kenny
can see
said
it
I
smiling.
Exactly.
Yeah,
right through the helmet without question.
yeah, I could see his
There's
eyes.
probably even a tear coming out of his left eye.
I was tearing up, and and yes, let's talk about this. Nobody saw this coming. Nobody saw this coming. I would like to ride one someday.
I don't know. I liked it.
I mean, yeah, it was cool, but it was so telegraphed. And again, this thing is,
well, not to me.
I was still cringing when he was getting shot. Like, no, I hope the Rancor is okay.
Yes, and again, let's not forget, he went all the way back to his palace to get the Rancor.
Yeah.
Instead of getting his ship, which has blasters on it. Just saying.
Yes.
The Rancor would do less collateral damage than his ship to the city.
It didn't look like it did.
Look, I'm trying. I'm trying.
All over like King Kong. And here's what I like.
The King Kong scene. Oh my God. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. That was why would they even put that there?
Whoa.
I mean, that's.
And you know what's hilarious?
That was great.
And Mando was what he called us was the damsel in distress.
Fey-Ray. Yeah. Fey-Ray. But here's what's sad, and it made no sense to me. So Boba Fett gets knocked off Rancor, and then Rancor just starts attacking everybody. Like, and they're fighting him. But here's what's funny. They started shooting at Rancor before he attacked them. So so Mandalorian.
That was so poor.
Yeah, and also all of his I didn't get any. I had some, but I didn't have enough time to put it up. His stupid Vespa gang. They all started shooting at him at Rancor as soon as Boba Fett left. So of course Rancor is going to go crazy. It's like, and I hate to use the analogy, it's like a circus elephant just going on a rampage because everybody's shooting at him. What are you going to do?
Well, let me ask you this: was anyone bothered by the fact that the three droids or machines? I don't know what they're called. Is there a name for them? The red-eyed
has to be.
Yeah, the red-eyed things. What do you call us?
Where were they?
No, they're not droids. They're the machine, the machines that attacked Mando and his crew.
Oh, the droids with the force field.
Yeah, the droids with the force field. I think they were like similar to the droids in episode 1, but bigger.
Just much bigger.
And I think I only saw 2 of them. Were there 3?
There were 2.
There were 2, yeah, no, but yeah. I was. So is anyone bothered by the fact that you got people, these droids right behind people who are running in a straight line and it's not hitting anyone?
I was more upset at the fact that they kept shooting at it, knowing it did 0.
Exactly. Well, here's the other thing though.
It's wearing the shields down.
Was it, Logan?
Yes.
I was going like, dang.
Was this the end of Saving Private Ryan, where Tom Hanks is shooting at the tank, and they're like, if I just get that one bullet in, just get that one good shot.
Yes, exactly, Kenny. They were programmed by stormtroopers.
Yes.
Because so they were shooting like stormtroopers.
I could understand if the resistance, or whatever you want to call them, it pretty much seemed like a Suicide Squad, if they were trying to shoot the ground troops while avoiding the shield drones. That would have made sense. But they were shooting at these shield drones, and even what's his name, the guy with the prune face. I think that's his name, prune face. Where he had like he gave his rifle up to the hipster Vespa biker, and she gave him like this. Literally, it was like a Derringer. It was the worst gun ever, and he's up there shooting this, 3-ton,
like a noisy cricket in Men in Black.
Exactly. It was the worst thing ever. But let me show you another good scene here, and this was a good one. So obviously everybody is shooting the Rancor, just getting it madder, and little baby Grogu. Oh, and he slaps Mando around like crazy. And I don't a lot of these things that a lot of these injuries Mando's been getting are not really survivable at this point because the Rancor is literally swatting him like a net and he's slamming against walls. I know he's got armor on, but it reminds me of an episode, one of those episodes of Jackass where you just know he's all busted up under that uniform, and little Grogu steps in and saves the day, just like he did with the Mudhorn. But it was cute because he basically said, "Go to sleep."
Yep, we're gonna take a nap now.
And then he curled up next to him and took a nap with him.
It was pretty adorable.
That was cute.
That overloaded on cute. Look at that. Oh,
yeah.
Oh, and then Fennec goes in and kills the syndicate because they're all shady, and she blows them away. Mm-hmm. And also I want to point out that this guy, the Wookiee, and I forget his name,
Chrysanthemum.
There was a scene where he was getting pretty shot up, right, and pretty damaged, and he was like hobbling on one leg, and he could barely move.
And they were still not hitting him with any laser blaster.
Well, and again, they were hitting him repeatedly, and he keeps falling down. And it's almost like Platoon, where he's not going to make it. And of course, Boba says, "Cover me," and he runs out and picks him up. Again, this 500-pound Wookiee, and he just helps him back to the ship. But literally 2 minutes later, where they blow up the cover they had. This dude is full up sprinting with no assistance from anybody. He, apparently his leg got better real quick, and he's just running like crazy. And then 5 minutes later,
Wookiee adrenaline is potent.
Oh, that's what it is. So, and then here's what's funny: 5 minutes later, he's limping again, and Hipster 1 and Hipster 2 are helping him walk. And then, like, a droid comes up behind him. And they do the most unnecessarily stylish turn and shoot that I've ever seen in my life. Matter of fact, this guy with his, I'm going to call him TI hipster because he looks like TI. He does an entire 360 spin and shoots instead of just lifting up his gun and shooting. He does a Michael Jackson spin.
The mods are tight.
Are they?
Oh, they are.
Well, first of all,
of everything in this series, they bothered me the absolute least.
Well, let me ask you this: have you seen the series Doom Patrol?
Yeah, sure.
Okay, so they have Cyborg in it, right?
Yeah.
Who has a better prosthetic eye, Cyborg or this guy?
Well, Cyborg.
Okay, I'm just wondering because this, I don't know why anybody would. And again, is that a mod?
Yeah.
So it's not like he was injured and he needed to replace it. He's
debatable.
Well, I mean, again, none of these people look like they can fight. So
none of these people also have a backstory. So
exactly, that's the other thing that bothered me. No backstory. It's like, oh, we're like these we're like the folks from the Juvie folks from Juvie is just trying to messing stuff around. And Chewbacca, then not Chewbacca, but Boba Fett offers them a job, and all of a sudden they're like loyal. And there's not even not even any character development. I mean, they're just all of a sudden, oh, we're ultra loyal to you. I mean,
they're actually getting paid for the first time.
They're getting paid for the first time, yeah. But they're supposed to be like the badasses. I mean, they're no one ever questioned or complained about any kind of orders or anything like that. They're just
I like the randomness because the randomness happens in life. Like, you're gonna see people of all walks, people of all kinds. You're gonna see unexpected things. You're gonna see people who look like just complete, what are you thinking? And there's at least something there. Like, I appreciate the randomness of this. They didn't bother me. Honestly, there were so many other things that bothered me in this series. Yeah. I was actually fine with this bit of flair and color.
Well,
I was like,
I'm
you do you, mods. Like, go for it. I'm fine with this because there's so much else I take exception to.
It's just my thing with them is like, okay, once they were offered a chance for redemption, you want, they're terrorizing people, but now they've Boba Fett showed them kindness and all that stuff. I would have ever, and then all the interactions stop. I mean, with the few lines here and there, a couple of dialogues here and there, but really, like, there's no real interaction that actually would develop their character even more. I mean, or just
Right.
it's just all of a
But
sudden they became loyal soldiers. Nothing,
there
no,
shouldn't be with Boba Fett, because if you think about it, who's actually going to direct them? He's not going to direct them himself. His right hand is Fennec. Fennec
Mm.
Shand is. So I think there's character development between her and how she
That's
runs all of the lieutenants that's missing. And two, overall in the series, I want to see more Ming-Na Wen because she is unbelievable.
Oh, yeah.
And she
Yep,
was
yeah, yes,
so
yes.
underutilized in this, and showing something like that and how she crafts and manipulates and coerces or cajoles
hmm
or supports these you know kids into an actual street level enforcer group that is capable would be very interesting to see.
That's exactly what I would have wanted to have
Yes, I
seen
would
here.
love to have seen that.
Yeah,
Now, it's funny, and I just
maybe
realized.
they could even dedicate an entire episode just to that. I
Totally,
mean,
make it a Fennec episode.
Well,
You made a
it's
couple
funny,
Mandalorian ones, make a Fennec episode or two or
but
series.
what is funny is they showed how Boba rescued her from in the Mandalorian. See, when
Mhm.
she was left for dead, and he picks her up and he sticks her full with you know,
machine
uh,
parts.
machine parts. Yeah, which and
She
again
was already.
uh, what's that?
I would say she was already.
What do you mean she was already?
She was already. It was machine parts that were broken that he replaced.
Really?
No, I think no.
Pretty sure.
I
Oh, well, you know what?
okay. I may have to look into that. I thought
Because
that
remember
was
on the table they took out the machine part that had the bullet hole through it.
oh.
Oh,
Well, wait a second. But when she woke up, she looked at her stomach like, what the,
what did you
she,
do to me?
yeah.
No, well, you could interpret it that way. That's totally fair. I interpreted it as why is that showing? Why is my I took it more of a shame, more of a hidden, more of a secret kind of a thing. Like,
Yeah.
I don't want anybody to know I'm a robot.
Yeah.
There's a Cad Bane and there's a K2, what Alan Tudyk, whatever his character was in the beginning. There are bots who are bots, and then there's her, and I think she still has either enough cyborg components left where she still wishes or wants to be human, or is a robot that just wants to pass completely as human.
Oh,
I don't really
geez.
care which one
Wow.
she is,
All right.
but I think it's more of the why did you leave me naked? Why did you leave me uncovered? Why did you leave this part of me exposed? And I
Right.
took it as
Okay.
the cover me up. Why did you not cover me up?
Well, I mean, I think she could cover herself up if she was, demure,
Well,
but
sure, but she only had a little hole through her leather. She didn't have her entire, inner workings exposed.
yeah.
That was,
All right.
you know,
Got a little ex machina going on.
yeah.
I just realized this when I was looking at this. You see this guy right here?
There's no way to delineate where you're
Oh,
pointing.
I'm sorry. Oh, right next between Chrysanthemum and Fennec.
Yeah, the little robot,
Yeah,
little bot.
that's the one. Let's not forget
That's
the emotional moment where Boba Fett chokes a robot and yells at him, "I
And
am
it turns
Boba
itself
Fett."
off.
it's
Yeah,
the rat. It's the rat
It's the
exterminator.
rat
yeah,
exterminator.
yeah. Why is he standing there with them?
Have no idea.
And yeah, I'm surprised that this is not the scene where they all jump in the air and it freezes and then they start rolling the credits. That's what this looks like to me. Exactly. And we did it with teamwork. That's exactly what I'm.
Oh, you're talking about like the shot for what do you call this, for Street Fighter?
All of
Yeah.
them. Anything in the 80s, that's how they always finished, with they freeze and then the credits roll. I will say this, and Logan, here's the thing: the mods would annoy me less. And I get you. There's so many other things to snipe at. This
Oh.
is lower hanging fruit, especially because they weren't in it that much. So I'm at least grateful for that. I will not forgive that 30-mile-an-hour high-speed chase, which was neither high speed nor a chase, where
I also don't blame them for that, because there was severe inconsistency with speeds in this show. If you're looking at, think about that chase, which was arguably pathetically improperly speeded, if that's
right.
even a word. And then think about the pace with which Fennec took off to go assassinate those people from there, and how fast that speeder went.
Yes.
And then how fast it looked when, it didn't look like they on the mod bikes were going much faster than Amy Sedaris was with her little roller droid.
Right.
And then you've got the Rancor that looks like it might have been running faster than the things are flying. There was a vast inconsistency in speed in this whole thing.
Well,
And I think that that's something else that needs to be addressed at the producer level, just to kind of standardize it across the franchise, to understand, all right, what are the speeds of things? What are the frame rates they have to be shown at? What are the distances they have to cover in a certain time in order to create and maintain the realism around the speeds of the technology in the universe?
I think what it was is they didn't have enough background imagery to go that fast. So they just made everything go really slow because they were running out of background. Because you notice when you're out in the desert, you can have like
totally the desert flies.
Yeah. Here
but I'm gonna argue bullshit there, only because they're flying around in the volume. We know they're in the volume. It's just CG. You can loop Star Trek Enterprise hallways forever and make you run 30 decks.
True.
You can do it in Mos Eisley.
Then they should have got some young kid who knows how to do that, because whoever was in charge of the CG, the motion or whatever.
Yeah, loop, flip, twist, orient, recolor, and go. And just you need to be able to run more to have a consistent speed aesthetic throughout all of the things and all of the machines.
Here are my two things with these hipsters. First of all, if they were in, say, for example, a spaceport or someplace a little more clean, I would buy that they're like these, cyberpunk kids. But they're in a dusty desert planet, and look what the brother's wearing. It looks like he's going on tour. It's not conducive to their environment. That's all I'm saying. And here's what else I'll say. There is literally there's no example in which they are fighters on any level. What's his name? Oh yeah, what's his name was in it? From Office Space. They stole my red stapler. Oh, come on. You're the guy with the glasses, the guy that was complaining to
I know you're talking about, but where was he in this?
Oh, he was the guy. He was the guy that was saying that these people were stealing from him.
He was the water vendor?
The water baron. You know who that was, right?
I didn't put that together, no.
Oh, yeah, no, that was him.
I know he was I recognize his face, but I
figured did not put that together.
I'm going to the internet. Yes, his name is he's Stephen Root. You know Stephen Root. He's you would recognize him. Okay, real quick, Stephen Root. He's been in everything. He was in Office Space. He was in Dodgeball. Remember the coach in the wheelchair in Dodgeball?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's him. News Radio. He was in Barry.
Okay.
He was in Oh Brother, We're Out There. We're Out There. No Country for Old Men. He was in Get Out. Let me put it this way. he's a famous character actor. I'll say that.
Mm.
Yeah. His name was Milton. Thanks, Kenny. Yeah, he was Milton in Office Space, the guy who's in the basement, and they kept kept downsizing him.
No, not basement. They kept putting him in the in the what do you call it? In the yeah, he's not the coach. He's the guy. He's the loser guy, right? He's the one with the wife that kept doing that.
Well, in dodgeball, he was the one that threw wrenches at him. He's like, if you can dodge a wrench, you can dodge a ball, and he was throwing wrenches at the kids.
That was Milton.
Yeah, no. Milton was the guy with the glasses in Office Space.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, but anyway, let's get back on track. My point being is that he was complaining that these kids were messing with him when they were stealing water because they were thirsty. So they were not criminals, and they have like no real weaponry. They have these petite little cute guns, but they're just kids. They're not warriors, at least not that I could tell.
Here's the other thing that bugged me. So, just based on the way the people around what's this town again? There's so many malls. The town that they're in right now.
Right.
Yeah. So, everyone was what do you call this? The people, you can tell a resident from that place. I mean, even if the desert suit and the really tattered what do you call this sackcloth type of robes, stuff like that.
It's exactly.
Then Boba Fett sends these kids out to spy, to warn them when the reinforcement comes in, all that. They stand out like a sore thumb. How can you I don't understand how you can be an effective watchdog or a spy when you can actually be Rip Torn. Yes.
Yeah, you're right. Kenny was right. It was Rip Torn that was in dodgeball throwing away around
The
but
wrench.
he was in dodgeball also, but it was another role.
Yeah, the guy. Yeah.
Yeah.
But anyway, there's so if I would send someone to spy, I mean, I would not send people, kids with shiny bikes and
that wasn't spy. That was keep watch.
Yeah,
well, keep watch, but
I get it. I mean, they're
look,
basically
the Wookiee's going to stand out too.
Yeah,
well, that's true.
Let me get. I mean, first of all, they don't know that these kids work for them. They're just hanging out anyway. So I get it. That actually makes sense. Them just because they're not doing anything. They're kids hanging out on corners. So yeah, I would have said this if you would have made them a little more tough and a little less Abercrombie and Finch. I think I could have enjoyed watching them fight. But these they look like they literally look like what is it? Just a really bad band. They look like members of horrible bands all put together. And I don't dig it. I don't like it. And they did not have fighting skills. And I hate to say it, but when that one kid's Vespa got blown up, I yelled at the screen, "Good." That's what I did because I have no emotional attachment to these people. And the girl was supposed to be like angsty and angry.
I didn't get that.
I didn't know. They never explained it. And she was just, I'm angry girl. And he's like, I'm suave boy.
I would have loved more scenes where basically they use their modifications to their advantage, like in a fight scene or in I mean, there's one time where I call him Cyborg. I don't really know what his name is in the actual series.
Rangers.
Yeah, so he was using his eyes. Yeah, so that was the only time I've ever seen them actually use.
The mod should have come more into play.
They should have. They should have come more into play. They should have taken advantage of their modifications. I mean, Angry Girl should have crushed someone's arm with her.
Yeah,
or had 3 or 4 little other blasters pop out of her hand, so she
something like that. Yeah, something.
Anything.
I mean, you got
their
Boba
mods.
Fett.
Use their mods.
Yes.
You got Boba Fett shooting missiles out of his knee. I mean, come on.
That is still badass. That is.
It is, yeah. But they should have done the same thing with the mods. That's the
Yeah.
thing.
Again, that's what I'm saying. I think those mods were kind of for show. I don't really think they did anything except for Kaleidoscope Head, where that was basically it. He could zoom on, but he could have done the same thing with some binoculars. So I'm sorry, I don't give him any. His mods are awful, all of them. And what do the other ones even have mods? I think the woman in the back with the furry, the furry coat. I think she's got Beats headphones on by Dre. Is that her mod?
That's the
I
thing. We don't even know. I know the middle arm, and I know Cyclops, but not. I mean, not the others. I mean, I don't even know. And the thing about it is, they're the only two I know. I mean, you
yeah.
can interchange the other people. I
Well,
I,
it's
I would have
funny.
not known.
Some of the other ones were getting shot, and I didn't even know who was getting shot because they were like all red shirts. They didn't really, they didn't have speaking parts. You're right.
Yeah. So hence the one episode where Finnick trains them. That would have been something that was sorely needed.
Yep.
Yeah. Again, they were not soldiers, so I don't know what they were doing in a war. That's all I'm gonna say. But all in all, I would say that this was a good attempt at trying to give through a series of awkward, abrupt flashbacks, at least a little insight into Boba Fett's journey before he got there to Mos Eisley, and some good Mandalorian scenes,
Yeah.
and
Great Mandalorian scenes.
and some slightly better Luke Skywalker scenes, minus the voice.
Hmm.
It's getting better every time. That's all I can ask for.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's getting scary better.
Well, it's a long
Yeah.
ways from that Princess Leia one they had at the end of Rogue One.
Well, even
Yeah.
the Princess Leia, even the Princess Leia in the Rise of Skywalker. I mean, not
Well,
the
that's
not
a
the one
different case.
where
That's a
not
different case.
not the one where she's acting. The real one's acting. I'm talking about the one with the one with the helmet, the one that Luke Skywalker was.
Oh yeah, no, that was not bad when they were. I mean,
Mhm.
it was, yeah, but
It,
that was quick. That was quick too.
it was
That
quick, but it was still.
It was quick
Yeah.
and dark and moving and all the
Yes.
things they need to do to make it
Which
look
kind of
good.
makes it even worse because it's quick and dark and it still look awful.
Yeah, but as long as what, where it usually falls apart is the when they're talking in the mouth. That's because
Yeah, still.
and especially I don't know what they were thinking. I mean, Logan, I have like voiceover software.
Oh yeah.
My voiceover software has better inflection than this
Yes.
nonsense. It was, I mean, yeah, don't get me wrong. First of all, what AI did they use to reconstitute Mark Hamill's voice? Mark Hamill's alive. Just get him to read the lines and pitch it down or pitch it up,
What?
and
He's alive?
yeah. I'll tell you what, he didn't, he did vanish into the ghost spirit, blue ghost, right? What do they
The
call
blue
it?
ghost, the
Force
ghost, that
ghost.
can,
Force
the
ghost.
tan-
Yeah.
the tangible ghost that can still catch lightsabers being thrown into a fire. Yep.
Yeah. Yeah. Because he was using the Force so hard that he disappeared, which apparently is a thing.
Forced himself out.
Yes. And again, I'll tell you what, I honestly don't mind if I were to watch that scene again, when they're on the planet full of salt. And it's salt because the director literally put it in his mouth and spit it out and said, it's salt. Because that's storytelling, Logan. That's
Show and tell.
No,
So
I would.
Back to kindergarten, baby.
There would have been
Exactly.
so many different, better ways where Luke Skywalker would have died than having his image get killed and him like having some kind of a heart attack or I didn't even know what happened to
I
how
had
he
no
died.
issue
I
with his
mean,
death scene. It was just the usage of him leading up to it and the lack of telling the story that had so much merit but was so convoluted by so many other things.
I think honestly, all of these last Star Wars films, I know this was before the Disney did their big move on the streaming platform, but honestly, I think every one of these movies would have been better suited as a long series, because you could have gotten into so much more storytelling, so much more reveals of in character development, and and you know what, Logan? I think they're just going way too fast on these episodes now. I think they're just trying to crank him out because but it used to be 12, then 8. Now this one is what, 7 episodes?
7.
I'm not seeing it. I'm not.
Wasn't Obi-Wan 6?
Oh, geez.
Wasn't that? I thought.
Is it out already? By the way,
No, not yet.
No, May 25th.
Yeah,
okay.
but yeah,
That one I'm excited about, really.
But they're back to back, and they're just cranking them out like like M&Ms. That I don't know. I'm beginning to get diminishing returns here. I think it's almost a shame because when they came out with Mandalorian, lightning in a bottle, and again, the mystique. It was the mystique. Even when you saw Pedro Pascal, he put the helmet right back on because it was just okay. Yeah, I'm human, but that is your Batman and Bruce Wayne. But you barely ever see Bruce Wayne. This one, you see more Bruce Wayne than you do Batman, and I'm just like, who cares? I want to see the Dark Knight. I did not see Boba Fett here. I just saw Tamara Morrison dressed up as Boba Fett, which is a shame.
Well, again, he doesn't. It's hard to say there only because, while I understand the mystique that not showing your face has in that way,
Yeah.
they've also already established that he was not of that same creed. So now you're running into in-universe issues with him never taking off his helmet if he's not that particular sect of Mandalorian.
And don't get me wrong, I'm not saying that he's, he should not be allowed to take his mask off, his helmet off.
Right.
I guess I'm just more saying, and again, I think they totally missed the boat on trying to establish that he is a let's just say they totally, they PG'd it. There is not any deep, dark, emotional hook about him losing his step and saying, okay, I used to be this, now I got to do this. He does one throwaway line where it's like, working as a team is better. And I'm just like,
well, that's not the one that got me. The one that got me was the end when he's walking with Fennec and everybody's actually saluting him. And he's like, this isn't for us. And it's just like, I wanted to reach to the screen and wring his neck because it's like, what the heck have you been building this whole time? Like, are you kidding me?
Yeah.
This is the entire thing that you've been working towards, working towards that created family and that relationship and that structure and that everything that you caught a glimpse of with the Tuskens and had ripped away from you. And now you've saved a town and you have it and you have people around you and you have a support structure and you're building a power base and you what?
You know what? Let me put on my script doctor stethoscope one more time. Have you guys ever read the Dark Knight Returns with Frank Miller's comic book?
I've never read the comic, no.
Well, it's basically Batman at 50, and he's retired. He's been retired, but he comes back out of retirement. And again, I love that narrative of somebody who is not at their A game anymore, coming back and trying to find a way to work within their limitations. What would have made this really interesting is, okay, let's say he's out with the Tuskens for a while and he comes back and he's just not a killer anymore. Let's say he's not a killer, but you kind of already threw that away when he was in Mandalorian because he was savage as hell with that Jaffe stick. So, but let's say that scene never took place. I'm doing an alternative timeline here. Let's say that he came back and he's different. That's all you need to know. I'm not that man anymore.
Yeah.
That would have been interesting. And let's say he comes back and you replace these new kids on the block with, some tough street kids. But, they're kids, but they've seen some stuff. They haven't been doing mods. They've been getting into real fights.
Mm-hmm.
And he basically comes back to reclaim this is his own. But he doesn't do it as a figurehead. He kind of does it as like a mentor, like you were saying Fennec could do. Like he's building an army. It's kind of like a strategy thing, not him trying to shoot a Sarlacc pit or getting beat up by a Wookiee. He's like he almost takes on like a mentor mob boss, kind of like a coach. And I've seen stuff and bestow some wisdom upon these people. Like, hey, I've been doing this for a while. Here's what you do. Because everything he's done has blown up in his face again and again. So I would have loved for him to just show up with this deep, a treasure trove of knowledge of how to make things work. And then having putting together a crew and then putting pieces in place for his takeover, not just sitting on a throne and then having everything blow up in his face.
That's it. Put him, when you think him, think Batman. Have him come out of the shadows and disappear. Have them not really know, is this Boba Fett who's alive or who's not? Like, not wandering down the hallway with, his face hanging out, but like almost playing into the whole specter and perception of, is he, isn't he, is he alive, is he dead, who is he, what is he, etc.
Well, and here's what you do: you have them going out and doing these missions and reporting to him. So something similar goes a little sideways. He has to put on He has to put on his helmet again and go out and handle some business. But it's like a last resort, and you see that he's slow, and it's and Fennec is there, kind of watching his back because he can't do what he used to. I mean, there's so many ways they could have made this. Yeah. And because at the end, you're right. What did it all mean? It didn't mean anything.
Nope.
But it's over. So we made it. We made it through this series. And again, I did like some of the scenes of The Mandalorian. The Mandalorian was the only saving aspect of this to me. And I thought it was just insane that
The Mandalorian and all of his supporting cast. Because I would argue throwing Ahsoka in, throwing R2 in, even
Bo-Katan.
CGI Luke for whatever it was worth, throwing Amy Sedaris back in, a lot of those, like everyone that was created and established in The Mandalorian, including Fennec Shand to some extent too, saved it all.
Yeah. And I was like, wait a second. This what's the Wookiee's name again? I'm sorry. Chrysanthemum. Did not like that look for some reason. I mean, first of all, the shoulder blades that he has are comically large. I mean, it's. I'm sorry. Here you go. Just comically large. I get what they were going for, but it looks like something out of He-Man. I don't. It's.
I mean, a small Wookiee wouldn't have, made a name for himself in the gladiatorial ring. So,
yeah.
They at least gave him. They at least tried to give him a backstory to explain him.
Yeah,
barely.
I guess so. I'll say this: it was a disappointment, but it's done. So. It's like food poisoning. It was not pleasant at all, but it all passed.
Yeah. The other thing, and this is probably the least of all things, I still don't get the title. What the hell does the Book of Boba Fett mean?
They should have called it.
If you were going to say Tales of Tatooine Boba Fett, well, all right, there you go. Now you've got stuff happening
Boba
on Tatooine.
Boba.
What's that?
Boba drinks Boba.
Boba drinks Boba. Yes, exactly.
But what the hell is Book of Boba Fett? That means nothing. There were no books anywhere in this, like metaphorically or literally.
Yeah,
Tales of Tatooine.
I said it was false advertising because it was not the story of Boba Fett. It was
no.
Yeah. It's
political garbage and stuff on Tatooine.
It is, and I just hope that this is the last book. I hope there's not a second book.
I don't know.
And
I would be willing to give a second one a shot post COVID with actual development time and appropriate emotion and writing and story and background and character development given to it.
And they gotta get better bad guys. I mean, I'm sorry to say that the Pikes look like like a toy that comes out of those, claw.
That syndicate was a joke, and none of the syndicate should be a joke because
Yeah,
just
they
having the Fets leave and saying we're not playing with them, that didn't what we saw didn't support the Fets being scared.
Oh, the Huts.
The Huts, sorry,
Yeah,
the Huts. I'm sorry. Yes,
yeah.
yeah.
that
I
didn't do
mean,
it.
And again, what's funny is I did not. That was a total red herring because when he says, "Do you relinquish your claim on this planet?" and they said, "We're leaving, and so should you," they never answered the question. So I thought they were going to come back and do like some, and nothing. Maybe I mean, yeah, maybe they were setting up stuff for down the line, but yeah, it's.
yeah.
But still, if the Huts are scared of what they had to deal with, there's no reason to be scared of the Huts.
Yeah,
Exactly. I mean,
So,
the Huts were scarier than the Pikes. I mean,
yes,
serious.
they had the gravitas. They had the perception. They had the whatever behind them. The Pike Syndicate did not, and I would argue a syndicate should, because even just the syndicate implications in Han Solo, the standalone movie, Black Sun, I had more concern and fear of than the Pike Syndicate, and I think that's how it should go.
No, you're right. Well, again, I'll tell you what. I got an answer.
Okay.
We write our own story. We put together our own short film or miniseries, and sell it to Disney so they can do something slightly better than this. Because
Wouldn't be the first time I've done that. Let's do it.
Exactly. And I'll say this: the one thing I'm concerned about, and you hit the needle on the head, with the hammer in the nose, and if they've started the machine,
yeah,
and after every episode there's like a month or a half a month lull, and then the next series starts, then yeah, they're going to have a Boba Fett 2. It's probably already in the works, and they're probably already working on it. I'll tell you what, and here's what's funny: Tamara Morrison, when he was doing that oil wrestling with Chrysanthemum, and which again was very again, I'm trying to put aside logic, but he was asleep in the tank, right?
Mm-hmm.
Shoot him.
Yeah, exactly.
Shoot him. Don't take him out, wake him up, and then throw him around the room. Logic defies me. It's very odd, and even then, again, he's like super strong, and and I don't know, and it was just, I felt very uncomfortable watching
Yeah.
that.
Yeah, the whole thing with the oil in the diaper type.
Yes. I mean, don't get me wrong. I'm sure there's some websites for that, OnlyFans. But hey, it seemed like a very odd fight scene. You know what? Actually, I take that back. It reminded me of Eastern Promises. If you've ever seen that, no. Oh, okay, Eastern Promises. Please, add it to your list if you're interested in watching Viggo Mortensen play Russian mobster, and it's actually pretty interesting. But there's a fight scene that takes place in a sauna. But let me put it this way: there was no diaper. It was just full on, old school, if you will, fighting. But I will say this: Tamara Morrison was in better shape than I think he was when he was in Mandalorian. I think he's gotten into shape for this role. And again, he was always that. Like, again, you got to go see his first breakthrough movie, Once We Were Warriors. That's easily one of my top 20 films of all time. So highly recommend it. Anyway, gentlemen, let's have some parting thoughts on this. Logan, what do you say to this, the future of the Disney network, the future of Star Wars films on streaming platforms, Obi-Wan, Ahsoka Tano, all that fun stuff? What are your thoughts?
I'm still excited. I think, again, because I enjoy, like we all do in talking about, so much of the backstory and the production aspect of things, I can look at this, look at the time that it was being created, the time it was being shot, the challenges in the real world they had to deal with, and give a large pass on a lot of things and be in awe of what they were actually able to even accomplish during, 100-year pandemic. That's wildly impressive. And that we have this, and we have more with Boba Fett, and we have more with, The Mandalorian, and they've taken another step forward, an impressive step forward with, CGI and deepfake technology with Luke. There are a lot of very substantial, steps in progress that they've made, and that can only bode well to whatever the next thing is. That means in Obi-Wan, something that could have been worse is now going to be better. In the series, Mandalorian season 3, they're going to have a better idea of how to do other things, and maybe they start to add more to Grogu and be able to augment him a little bit in a way that's better than Yoda in Attack of the Clones, but still subtle enough to be realistic. Like, all of this is progress, and this is them getting to make progress in a universe that we want to spend time in. And as much as I'm here nitpicking it, I would be in line for season 2.
Fair point. And yeah, I'm not saying that they don't have my money, because I'm still paying my, what is it, $7.99 to Disney, and I'm still.
I bought 3 years when we started because I knew what they were going to do, and I haven't regretted that for a second.
No, that's money well spent. I
Yes.
guess I just don't have that commitment in me to.
Yeah, well, there were kids involved too, so.
Oh yeah, I mean, trust me, that has paid for itself 1,000 times over, probably, with
all 1,000 times we've seen Frozen.
Yeah, what's funny is I'm a fan. Obviously, I'm a fan of cinema, but for some reason, I have not been a Disney animated fan. I think it may be because the original Disney films that came out when I was a kid all had that 3-act play about tragedy. It was tragedy. No, there was 4 things that you would expect in every Disney film back in the day.
Mm-hmm.
There's tragedy,
Mm-hmm.
a journey,
Mm-hmm.
self-discovery,
Mm-hmm.
celebration.
Nothing's changed.
Yeah, yeah, and maybe that's why I don't want to watch it, because it always starts off with a tragedy, and I don't like seeing Nemo, his mother, die, and
Bambi's
Bambi's mother gets slaughtered, or Dumbo's mother get locked into a cage and tormented by children. That's not a good time for me.
It's not as in your face like that as it used to be.
Listen,
but really, it hasn't changed.
I'm too sensitive to watch stuff like that. I need to see Joker shoot Robert De Niro in the face. That's
more delicate and touching.
It's nuanced. Yes, it's.
I don't understand. You don't like seeing inanimate objects like teddy bears being burned in the furnace.
No. I think, you know what?
Let me shoot all the humans. No big deal.
You're not finding. I'm not disagreeing. I will say this. I think the way that animation touches me is there is an inherent sense of innocence and vulnerability to it that I just can't shake.
What about animated people, not animated animals?
I'm okay with animated people.
So I think then Frozen and Moana involve people dying in most cases. Their parents, their grandmother, their kind of things like that. And then they go on the journey and the discovery and the reflection and the stuff like that.
Yeah,
So the people ones maybe rather than the animal ones.
I liked Moana. Because I
Yeah.
remember seeing that, and I barely remember seeing Frozen. But yeah, adults dying, sure.
Yeah,
Staff
there
them
you
up all day long. Ramon, what was your take on Boba Fett, the book that was kind of basically a novella? But I'm sorry. Yes, what was your thought?
I'd still watch the. I mean, I don't 100% dislike it. I mean, there's but I really think that there's I'm still excited about the next phase. I'm hoping that there's more character development than just it's just a him remembering his past and then all of a sudden trying to get together a team to fight off the Pike type of scenario. Um, so yes, and I do want to see that more development with the people that's surrounding him. Everything just seemed to be everything was just seemed to be pushed together in 7 episodes. 7 episodes. Yeah, this is the
Yeah.
last one, right?
Yeah, that was it.
So I'm still excited. I'm excited. I still want to see, I love Star Wars. I mean, as long as they follow the canon and just be able to, I'll be willing to watch that. I'm more excited about Obi-Wan and Ahsoka Tano coming up, and so we'll see. Then again, you know what? The problem with series is like you add all these backstories. Sometimes the story gets jumbled around, and then you get inconsistencies with other stories and stuff like that. So just the only thing that they need to be careful of. Like, never mind. That's for another show.
Well, I'll tell you what. I mean, and both of you are right. It's worth you watching again. And also don't forget that Cobb Vanth was in the Bapta tank at the end, so he's fine. He'll be fine because nothing matters. Nothing matters.
I would have liked to have seen some sort of Nothing Matters where Cad Bane disappeared from the ground too.
He'll be back.
He better be.
Because he was stabbed and you didn't see a lot of blood. It was yeah, and he's too interesting a character to go out.
He was awesome. Oh.
Yeah.
Good
yeah. Makeup work too.
Talk about
beautiful.
Talk about talking about Academy Award acting. I think he's the best actor among all of them. I mean, what do you call this? For someone who's not human, that was pretty good. I actually wanted to see more of him.
Yeah, the guy that did his voice, his name is Corey Burton.
Corey Burton, okay.
Yeah, he's an American voice actor. He has Asperger's. He is known for voicing the Mole in Atlantis, Lost Empire of Atlantis, Milo's Return, Captain Hook in Return to Neverland, and unbelievable Hugo Strange in Batman. He was also he's done a lot of voice work. So good on him.
He should have been the head of the Pike Syndicate, not Fishface.
You know what? And
he was always an assassin though.
But
that's true.
But Logan, not to crack open this can of worms again, but that's what makes him dangerous. Is he's out for self.
Yeah,
he's in the periphery.
Yeah. Well, and but the thing, imagine if he were to, I'm gonna become mayor of this town. You're just like, why? Why? So what? You can go through Senate hearings and homeowners associations and all that stuff. I mean, come on, this thing. You can't be a badass and a public servant at the same time. I don't know it, but I'm fine. Fine, Disney, do what you want to do, for crying out loud. You're squeezing every last bit of force out of this universe. Obi-Wan will be cool. Ahsoka will be cool. What else is coming out in these Star? Aren't they doing like the Old Republic or something like that?
They were doing a Rangers in the Republic or something
Mhm.
like that. I don't know if that one's still moving forward or not. There was obviously Mandalorian season 3. I'm not sure what else.
Mhm. Well,
I've
we will be here to chronicle it and give thoughts and everything's like that.
Yep.
Gentlemen, thank you so much for discussing this episode. It may not have been the best one, but I had the best time talking about it with you guys. Yes, and
Good
don't
time.
forget, when Boba drinks boba, do a hashtag Boba drinks boba and get that trending, please. Everybody out there, I want to thank you so much for watching our show and participating. If you have any ideas on things you want us to watch, whether it be series, movies, video games, what have you, leave it in the comments. Let us know. We always like hearing from you. And don't forget, you can catch us on Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, YouTube, and Twitch. We're all over the place. So feel free to follow us on any one of those platforms. And also, if you ever want to get some of our merch or give a nice donation to help us keep the lights on, you can go to our bingenetwork.com site. There you can make a nice donation, and you can also leave a chat as well. So we appreciate the engagement you all have been giving us over the years we've been doing this, right, Logan? We've been doing this for years. And it gets better every year.
It does.
We appreciate you so much. We want you to take care of yourselves, take care of one another, and as always, if it's worthwhile, it's worth binging.